Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. This is Manny's Irish Pub. It is Wednesday, August the 11th, 2021. I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Veno, and special guest. He appears every Wednesday, guys and gals, Jesse Schul from sportsmemo.com. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about, and we'll try to, I know it's fun to fall off the rails. I enjoy it more than anybody, but we'll try to keep the wheels on the tracks as much as possible, at least until Mr. Finn joins us.
Right.
Because then sometimes what he has to say is so damn funny that you don't want to stop him. You just don't want to stop him. Jesse, how you been doing the last week?
It's been a good week. I've been traveling a little bit. I'm in a hotel in Vancouver right now. Going to a pool party tomorrow, so kind of relaxing at the end of summer here.
I kind of feel bad for you. A pool party in a hotel. It sounds terrible.
Getting ready for the grind of the NFL and the college football. There won't be any vacations in football season.
Well, I'm gonna bitch and moan because Rob Veno and I are suffering weather-wise, and it's pretty hot outside, Jesse. It's more than hot. I bet you it's probably as hot as Las Vegas is today, and I didn't even check. At least by the heat index. The last I checked, we were 107 on the heat index, and like 94, I guess, in the suburbs. I'm over towards the Princeton area. A little bit cooler up there, Jesse. It doesn't, down to the city itself, it's probably pushing. I don't even want to think about it because it's just absolutely kind of too much heat. It's so hot outside that I actually said to a buddy of mine that I was with for lunch that I would not play golf in this today. And it might be the first time in my life I have ever uttered those horrible words. But speaking of golf, I'm going to zoom through this real quick because I promised the guys yesterday in the chat room I would give out my free picks. And I'll have the DraftKings lineups later tonight, or probably around 10 p.m. I'm probably going to have 5 optimized lineups for my models. They've been kicking butt, and hopefully they'll do well here with the Wyndham. And to recap this event, this is the best way to describe it is the last tournament of the regular season. Just like we have regular season in the other sports, golf now has the same thing, and it's the Wyndham, and it's in Greensboro, North Carolina, and that's not going to be any pleasant experience weather-wise there either because it's very humid. May not be quite as warm as up here right now, but it's a 4-day event, and these guys have been traveling a ton. Patrick Reed, over to England for the Open, back here in the States. Then, unknowingly, DeChambeau gets COVID-19. Reed takes his place, flies to Japan, literally landed and teed off. And that's happened to a couple guys this year on some pretty major trips. CT Pan is in this event as well. He's been traveling a ton. He was the bronze medalist in the Olympics. David Behrman of ESPN, I had him on yesterday. He likes CT Pan at 80-1 and 9-1 for top 10. I really, really like that 9-1 for top 10. And Webb Simpson, this is the best way to describe it. He owns this course. He owns the Wyndham tournament. He's dominated this tournament, and some golfers just have that magic when they show up on certain courses, kind of like Tiger Woods at Torrey Pines over the years. And he's the favorite. I mean, he could be playing horribly bad, and he would be the favorite in this event. So we both like him, and probably in-game. You don't want to bet a guy necessarily 12-1, which is what Webb is, and he is the favorite. The best example was from the Open Championship. John Rahm, favorite, 7.5-1, 8-1 at a few parlors over there in London. But he was through 7 holes of a 72-hole tournament, and his money line to win was 35-1 because it wasn't a good start, and there was other guys on the course that were doing much, much better in their beginning round. So it taught me another example of being patient, and there's no reason to bet any golfer on any PGA Tour event at 10-1 or lower. There's no value to it, and the odds are very high that you're going to be able to at some point get 15, even 20 to 1. And in Rahm's case, it was 35 to 1. But I like Louis Oosthuizen, who has been knocking on the door, and I know he has been knocking on the door with second place finishes galore for his whole entire career. But he's there, and he has some of the best mental strength of any PGA golfer out there. This is a Donald Ross course. It's a par 72, and just a shade under 7,200 yards. So it's not a bomber's delight because it's going to be pretty tight. Donald Ross tracks are mostly pretty old. Most of them are very old, and they have tortoise back greens. So some of the fronts and sides of the greens are going to be false fronts, and the balls are going to roll off. And suddenly you're aiming at a small green to begin with, at a much smaller target to keep the ball on the green. So driving accuracy off the tee is monumental here, and course history is very important. It's more important than any other event on the PGA Tour. Some other highlights, Brent Snedeker, he can get red hot with the putter, and that's something you need here at the Wyndham. So we both liked him, and then Patrick Reed, who's a guy who's been playing steady Eddie, and also when he gets hot, it's hot. He can go 64 on this course with his eyes closed. And sometimes it appears that it's just so easy to play golf when these guys get it going that it almost makes Rob, I can imagine you probably have thought about going out and buying some clubs even though you don't play.
I actually did own clubs a while ago.
What's that?
I actually did own clubs a long time ago. Then I learned that I couldn't use them the correct way, so they sat there.
You might be the smarter man of the two of us, because it can be a very frustrating game, and you can't have a temper. You have to be like a Major League Baseball pitcher. You can't be like a Marcus Stroman and get upset at with what's that term? Elephant ears?
Rabbit
ears. Is it elephant ears? Yeah, where any little thing can get you off your game. You just can't do that as a pitcher, and you can't do it as a golfer. And some other guys that you want to consider that are value in that 7,000 to 8,000. Luke List is 7,100 on DraftKings. Jonathan Vegas 7,800. Mito Pariah is a guy that I really like for a DraftKings lineup. He'll be probably in 4 of the 5. He's 7,900. Dabiota has been playing really well over the last 2 months. I don't know if he really has enough to make a top 10, but for a DraftKings lineup, he's at 7,600, and that's pretty good value. And real quick to recap here, this is the last tournament before the FedEx Cup starts, and the FedEx Cup is 3 events. The first event is the top 125 in the world golf rankings. Ricky Fowler right now is 130, so that might be a guy you want to consider too, because he has to play well. And he has been playing a little bit better, and he doesn't want his season to be over. And then the next tournament, the first event of the FedEx Cup will be in North Jersey. And after that, it's cut to the top 75, and the final is the top 35, which is in Atlanta. So that's kind of how it goes. So some of these guys in the top 10, top 20 in the world, they're pretty much locks to be in Atlanta. But a lot of these other guys, CT Pan is, I think, 93rd. So he still has to play well because he doesn't want to just make it to next week. He wants to make it all the way to Atlanta. And it's a fun event. The tour has really done well with that because years past the majors would come and go, Open Championship would be done, and then the PGA was usually the last one, and then it'd be like September, October, November you barely watched golf, even if you liked it. But now there's a great reason to watch it. Dustin Johnson won the $25 million first place prize last year, and it'll be fun to see who does it this year. But that's my take on the Wyndham, guys. Let's see. Baseball. Let's start with Jesse Scholl here. And I know you have a game that you got on your radar, so I'll turn it over to you, and I'll rest my voice.
Sounds good. Thanks, John. So last week I talked a little bit about the AL MVP race, specifically between Ohtani and Vlad Jr. Of course, Ohtani is a huge favorite. He's actually a bigger favorite now. He's 8-1, and Vlad's paying out plus 450. And I still really like that bet on Vlad as the underdog in a 2-horse race. He's catching up. He's only two home runs back. Of course, he's got a big lead in RBIs and batting average. He doesn't pitch though, but Ohtani's only got 5 wins so far. So I don't think we should value that too much if Vlad comes back and leads the AL in home runs and RBIs. So tonight's game, you got Toronto in LA. Toronto's a huge favorite. I decided to pass on the side in this game, but I like Toronto, and I'm looking at the total bases matchup between Vlad and Ohtani, and you can get plus money on Vlad in the total bases matchup, which seems like it's pretty good value based on the price for the side, based on the fact that you got Dylan Bundy going for LA. He's got an ERA over 6. I think he's got a record of 1-3 with a 6.75 ERA in LA, and the Blue Jays got Alek Manoah going, who's been great young pitcher who he's pitching well, and the team's excited, and these seem to be two teams trending in opposite directions. So I'll run with that.
Yeah, I like it, Jesse. I do. I'll just add real quick. I was looking at Dylan Bundy, and I'd almost forgotten he was demoted to the bullpen back in June because of poor performance. And I also learned that because of the desperation to get back to the starting rotation, he actually made the bold move to change the back end of his pitching motion. And even though it's 162 games, it's very difficult to change that much. I mean, it's like changing a golf swing, swinging from right-handed to left-handed. And he did very well against Texas in his last start, but I mean, with all due respect, that's Texas. I think Tony Fink could probably get a win and complete 6 innings against Texas right now. The other point is Guerrero, Hernandez, and Bichette. And Bichette was in the lineup yesterday. They all have exit velocity averages of 91.2 and higher. And Dylan, he may have changed his motion, but he rarely gets over 90, let alone 92. And I don't think it's a real good matchup, as you say, with two teams heading in opposite direction. Rob, what do you have on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, for 2-3 years, if I don't fade Dylan Bundy, I don't play the game, period. I mean, the home run troubles that he has had since Baltimore are well documented. He's avoided the home run ball the last couple of times out, but he hasn't avoided his walk problem. 6 walks in his last 2 outings combined. As you mentioned, John, one of those against Texas, and it looks good on paper, but again, it is Texas. The start before that was only 4 2/3 against the Oakland A's, where he gave up 3 earned runs. I think 4 walks in that start. So, the Toronto lineup, certainly a patient lineup with a ton of power. And I shouldn't call Toronto patient. I won't do that, call them patient, because in a lot of respects, they're impatient. They're up there to hit fastballs. As when Bundy came up, the fastball was in the vicinity of 96, 97. Now we're talking about 91 on average. So certainly he's trying to reinvent himself. This is the very beginning of that process. Facing Alek Manoah tonight, I can see where Jesse's coming from, right? You've got a lineup, including the guy he's betting against, Ohtani, who has not seen Manoah whatsoever. So it'll be his first crack at him. And the guy's got electric stuff. Doesn't hang around all that long in games, but certainly if Ohtani sees him for a couple of at-bats, possibly 3, because I think I saw Ohtani leading off last night. If he sees him for 3 at-bats, there's no question you could tie him up for 3 at-bats. So I could understand the play totally. Vlad's in the middle of a lineup where just about every single guy, 1 through 5, is protected by the bat behind him. Pitchers just have nowhere to go with this Toronto lineup. You can't pitch around one guy to face the next, because you're in just as much trouble with the next guy coming up, especially with Bichette back in the lineup. So I can honestly, plus price, I can totally see that play. Yeah,
that's going to be an interesting game to see. See if Bundy can actually put back-to-back starts together with this new pitching motion. But as you guys know, I coached baseball for more years than I care to admit. I actually wish I had time to have kept doing it. But when you start talking like back end of a pitching motion, I mean that's a monumental change in your motion and delivery, and to be consistent. I'm trying to think of an example, like in golf. You take a golf lesson because you haven't played well. If you're making a proper change, it feels weird as hell. It feels like it feels foreign to you until you get the muscle memory ingrained and you get your mind set that this is the way you should swing the golf club. And I can't, baseball is very small, as you can tell. I have one here now for Steve Merrill when he comes on the show because I want to show him the spike curve or the knuckle curve, whatever you want to call it. But the ball is very small. It's easier to throw a softball overhand more accurately than it is a little pea like a baseball. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do it. Let's talk about the Phillies game last night. We'll start with Rob on this. And when it rained, I felt terribly bad for Aaron Nola because he looked every part of the ace that I guess a lot of us thought that he could be, but it just hasn't been consistent. But in my opinion, of all the starts that I've seen him throw, that first 3 innings was incredible. 7 strikeouts in 9 possible outs. And he was getting guys to swing with the ball landing on the plate with that curve. And I thought it was remarkable. But then it rained, and that kind of ended that. And the final score ended up in favor of the Dodgers. But I don't think it labels the Phillies as a fluke, winning 8 games in a row. They lost 1. They have another game tonight with Tyler Gibson on the hill. And then they finish with Wheeler. So, is it? No, it isn't Wheeler. Or is it Wheeler? Rob, do you know who's pitching the third?
It's Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because they did have the day off, but I didn't think that was going to shift the rotation to Wheeler to take that start instead of Suarez. Yeah, but he's a name that most people don't know, but he has some pretty good stuff. In 50 games that remain for the season, he's going to get about 8 to 10 more starts, and he could come a long way in those starts. I see nothing but upside with him actually, but time will tell. Do you have any thought? You guys have any thoughts on the game tonight?
Well, I would say real quick, if the Phillies are going to win the series, they have to win tonight because the matchup Thursday certainly does not favor them. Julio Urias against Rangers Suarez and a host of Philadelphia bullpen guys behind him. Suarez, I think they've been getting him to about 3 innings, maybe 45, 50 pitches, and then you got to pull him because he's not a starter. He's just in there. Because they acquired Ian Kennedy and they could use an arm in the starting rotation. But those are bullpen days when Ranger Suarez throws, and obviously Julio Urias has been extremely good as of late. And overall this season, he's been really good. Last night, that pitching matchup was developing as good as Aaron Nola looked. Aaron Nola 7 Ks in 4 innings. Max Scherzer had recorded 10 outs, and 6 of those were strikeouts. So we were in for a real pitcher's duel. I was happy that the 5-inning total did stay under despite the rain delay. When you lose both pitchers and you're sitting on under 4 runs, 4.5 runs, you get a little nervous with both of those bullpens. But the Dodgers marched a lot of call-ups out there last night that did the job against the Philly lineup that had been red hot, kept them quiet, and L.A. didn't really do their damage until late. What we've seen, the one highlight from that game, the Trey Turner slide at home plate, has basically gone viral. It looked like he was going down a water slide the way he got up off of that. But I think, again, as far as the series and tilting one way or another, the series tilts on this game, in my opinion. If David Price, and he's been throwing a little bit better for L.A. as they've stretched him out, can do the job tonight, then they should. Well, if he wins tonight, they do win this series. But Philadelphia, this is their shot to even it up and go from there. So we'll see, John. I don't know that I would bet either side here. You know, it's funny. This morning, there was a lot of money. There was a surge. I'm going to guess about 11, maybe around quarter to 11, 11 Eastern time. There was a surge towards the Phillies in full game number, first 5 number, both run line numbers. Then it came back a little bit, and it's kind of sat there all day long with no real movement either way. So I think they, you know, the money found the right spot. The right spot is where it sits right now. And we'll see. Kyle Gibson was brought over for games like this. The Dodgers have not seen him. He's an American League pitcher. It's probably better analysis when he was in the American League to say that he developed a new cutter that nobody's seen, because American League hitters that were familiar with him had never seen the cutter. So he kind of coasted through all the way to All-Star break, making an All-Star team. He was a dominant pitcher. National League hitters never saw his stuff anyway, really. I mean, L.A. might have played Texas in an interleague series here or there, but I'm not sure that they played Minnesota, and Kyle Gibson spent a lot of his time in Minnesota. Like I say, this is a game he's brought over to win. Price has been in these situations before, so I guess from that perspective, maybe a little more experienced David Price. Kyle Gibson did go to the playoffs with the Twins 1 year, so he knows what big games feel like as well. It'll be interesting, John. To me, it's an even matchup, and the Dodgers are down some players, right? Mookie Betts hit the DL. Justin Turner's been out a while now, so actually last night, Philadelphia gets the benefit of no Mookie Betts and no Justin Turner, and they'll have that for the remainder of the series. 2 of the best right-handed hitters on the team that won't be present for L.A. But again, they got guys that just seem to come in and do the job behind them. So it's an interesting series, and tonight's kind of that seesaw game, that pendulum game. Whichever way it goes, so goes the series. And so goes the attitude of the Philadelphia fan base and media, for sure.
And based on last night, I just checked the weather because I didn't know if we were supposed to get thunderstorms again tonight. And we are in a severe thunderstorm watch right now. So take that in consideration if you're going to bet this game. Rob probably has the best idea of betting the first 5. But there's about a 90-minute drive west is a string of pretty big line of thunderstorms heading towards us. But if they stay the way they are, it will be a much shorter rain delay than last night. But who knows with weather?
And it's,
but they are
John,
out there, and the heat index right now
yes,
in Philadelphia is 107.
Yeah, and that's huge, John, because these starting pitchers, one who threw in Minnesota and then didn't really get to feel the heat of Arlington, Texas. I mean, in August in Texas is extremely tough, but Kyle Gibson was traded out of there before he got to, get the feel of that. So when you come from Minnesota for so many years and then you get to pitch in this, I was thinking that last night with Scherzer and Nola on the hill when they were throwing in the high heat index. I think it was 105 last night before the rains came. And you wonder how long starters can last in that type of environment. Can you really get to 7 innings? It's exhausting. Unless you have really quick innings, if you have any high leverage innings, it's going to take a lot out of you in this type of heat and humidity. So we'll see how Gibson reacts. Price had a couple of years in Boston. But other than that, he pitched in Tampa in the Dome. He's pitched in L.A. the last couple of seasons. Well, actually, he didn't even pitch last year because of COVID. But he's thrown in L.A. where the weather isn't as brutal as it is here tonight. We're going to see. Nashville, I guess, when he was at Vandy. It can be tough humidity-wise. But it's a factor. And, in my case, living where I live, we got those storms. And generally, if we get them, I'm going to get them 30 minutes before it happens at the ballpark. And that's exactly how it went last night. When we got the rain here, it was probably top of 2 in Philadelphia. And sure enough, here it comes, 4th inning, all that rain. So these thunderstorms will probably be short and sweet. But again, like you're saying, John, sometimes the delay is long enough to where you have to take your pitcher out of the game, and then you're stuck with a bet with bullpens again. So we'll see how it goes. It's so thick out there right now, just for the people watching, for us to describe it here. Like John said, Las Vegas, and I lived there 11 years, at 107 degrees and 7% humidity is one thing. But when you have 94 and the humidity that we have here, it's twice as bad, in my opinion. You can't walk outside your home without needing to change your clothes within 5 minutes because you're soaking wet. So it'll be an interesting game tonight for sure.
Yeah, just for fun, I pulled up Vegas. It's 97 degrees there right now. The heat index is 97.
Right.
So that's exactly right, with the humidity being basically under 50%. Jesse, you have any last thoughts on this matchup tonight?
I got to tell you, I love this game. The bad news is, though, it's going to cost you $25. You got to go to sportsmemo.com. It's called My Merchant of Death, and I'll tell you all about it. $25.
And guys that are listening, and gals, take our advice and go over there and get it. I say this time and time again. Better yet, get a 30-day subscription. That's a true test drive. If you bet, for example, I have a 5%er going tonight, and I really wasn't even going to mention it because I want people to buy me for a week or 30 days. But when you have a 5%er out there, it gravitates towards everybody, and they buy it. And of course, if you lose it, then a lot of them unfortunately think that you suck as a professional sports bettor. And what do you know? I could have saved myself a lot of money, but losses happen. You never have a perfect record in 5% plays over the course of a season in any sport. I started out NFL last year 2-6, but I ended up 65.8%, and it's a marathon, and you grind it out. And I don't know what else to say, guys, but you got to invest in yourself and have somebody like Jesse and Rob working for you. And that's the best way I can describe it. There's nobody better on the planet to have working for you to help have fun and make profits in sports betting. And a story. I should have been a minister, I think. Maybe not.
I don't know.
I'm told I have a gift to gab, so I'm still not sold on that fact, but I'm taking it under review. I still don't see Tony Finn yet, but we do have that Boston-Tampa game, and the way I look at Boston now, I'm waiting for them to start, rallying the troops here and get on one of those 8-2 streaks like Tampa Bay just completed. Boston has been 2-8 over the last 10. Do you think, my question to both of you is, do you think Tampa Bay is just going to simply run away from this and Boston will have to fight cat tooth and nail to get even a wild card? Well, let's start with Jesse on that.
Short answer is yes. It's just hard to have any faith remaining in Boston after what we've seen since the All-Star break. And Tampa Bay, if you're going to be chasing a team, they're not the team you want to chase because they seem to be well coached. They just don't seem to make a lot of mistakes. They seem to win more games than they should, do more with less than other teams can do. And for that reason, I think Boston's going to have a tough time keeping up to Tampa Bay.
I think you're right, Jesse. Welcome to the show, Mr. Finn. I don't have him muted.
It's all right. He'll figure it out. He hasn't figured it out yet.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Hey, you guys quit turning my mic off, man. I don't know how you guys do that, but that's pretty good. How you do it from there, I don't know how you do it, but here I am. And I was saying, I'm sorry I'm late, but it's going to be this way until April, and by then I'll be dead. But it'll be a good dead, a lot of football.
I'll bet against that. I will definitely bet against that.
Well, don't make me make that a winner just because you bet on it. Don't put that pressure. That's too much pressure. We have enough pressure already, John. That I have to somehow fake my death just so I can collect the winnings.
Okay, imagine me doing your eulogy. It would last for days.
Um,
It would last for days.
I'm certain it would have something about a knife, dropping knife, and
Iron condor.
and Merrill would be imitating me, and he did an imitation of me this morning because I couldn't. There was something wrong with the sound booth, and I flattered him and said, "Boy, that was really good, Steve. That sucked. It was horrible." But are you watching, Steve?
Well, anyway, Steve Merrill was on with me today prior to this show. And we started a little tardy, but it was fine. And we talked cryptocurrencies. We talked crude oil. We have 5 positions in the $50,000 account that we're showing for transparency purposes.
You're giving me a hard on talking about this crypto stuff, John.
Oh, maybe I should just say cryptocurrency. Is that better? I won't use the fancy short name.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go. Almost shut up.
I will say this about the theme of the show is clearly that with this $1 trillion infrastructure passage, we now have more money sloshing around, and someday that's got to be paid back, and someday people are going to wake up and realize how inflationary this whole stuff is. And granted, we need it, but to think that the currency markets always tell you the story. And the Aussie, the New Zealand, the Canadian all rallied today sharply on various news. And that tells you the story, that we're getting inflated. And when those currencies rally, they're commodity-based countries. The higher they go, the more chance we have of a significant correction in the S&P 500. We have a chance that 10-year notes will actually come down in yield instead of going up like they should be. And the whole thing gets cleansed, as I like to say. Corrections are healthy. They're very painful for a lot of people, but they're healthy longer term. So it's not the end of the world, but the warning signs are there now. There's no denying that. It's not my opinion. The charts tell you the story, Tony.
Yes, listen, I think we survived a couple of these. One in particular, I remember, being 120 years old. It was, I think Roosevelt did something similar to kind of
New Deal, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's it, and we survived that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we did. We survived the price freezes of Jimmy Carter in the late 70s.
Yes, we did. We survived Nixon.
Yeah.
We always survived.
Well, you figure this gigantic bull market started in 1982 with that Ronald Reagan guy. And I will say this: it's not the president of the United States that causes the stock market to go up. All right, it's not. It's a combination of all of us, a combination of people with tremendous minds, like a Steve Jobs, for example. And there's a list that is thousands upon tens of thousands of people that do something pretty cool, and suddenly it makes a ton of money, and it makes other people money, and it turns secretaries that were day one employees at Apple into billionaires because they bought the company stock. Now, did the president have anything to do with that? No. Maybe the Federal Reserve Chief, and I've always told my kids, you want to know who the most important person in the world is? It's the Federal Reserve Chief, because they control the money supply. They control interest rates, and I can't think of anything more powerful, unless you guys can tell me.
My wife.
Maybe Davy Roberts.
Oh,
maybe he missed his calling. Maybe he should run for Federal Reserve Chief.
I used to run from something.
Yeah.
From, not to,
Right.
for, from.
So
Mob. I
tomorrow-
can see it already. It's a mob. Bunch of people wearing masks of the most powerful woman in the world, and chasing Dave Roberts and his gang of hooligans. That's kind of rough, isn't it? Okay, I'm just kidding, Dave.
I mean,
We love
you can
Just don't-
rephrase it if you want.
No, I like it. I like the phrase. No, I like it. Yeah. No, I stand by it.
And now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, Steve Merrill tomorrow is replacing the Prez, I hear, on WagerTalk today. And if you haven't watched that show, It's
I thought it was yesterday. He did yesterday with
He did do it yesterday.
our very own our very own Robert De Niro Veno.
Well, he did it with Teddy, but I was a guest
Oh,
yesterday.
so
Teddy is back. Took 3 weeks off. Me and Steve did do it together a couple of times.
3 weeks.
Listen,
I got to call Teddy. I mean, I haven't had.
What's
I can't even. I can't even say through 3 weeks, let alone take it off.
He's taking off 30 weeks.
no,
Huh?
Teddy already was off for 3 weeks. He left for the better
Oh,
part of
3
July.
weeks.
He's
Yeah.
back.
Oh,
He's back.
I thought
Well, you
Tony
see,
Mejia
I
said 30
didn't miss him.
weeks.
Didn't even miss him. Go ahead and take another 3 off, Teddy.
Well, anyway,
I saw him. I saw him. I went to a party last week, and he was there. He looked in great spirits. No wonder.
And I do appreciate the shout out by Steve Merrill and Rob Veno about John Ryan and the Manny's Irish Pub show at 4 o'clock, which is this show.
I'm sorry I missed that, but I was busy with.
I don't know what they said about me, but apparently it was good.
Dave Roberts. I've been busy playing his escape.
Come on, Tone. How about the way he navigated that bullpen last night? 6 relievers, 5 2/3. No, damn, the cops are after you now.
Did you hear the
Stay
sirens?
put. Yes,
they
I did.
they heard us. Said time to get Dave.
Jesus, you live in that high crime area, Mr. Finn.
I live in the ghetto. I've told you guys over and over I live in the ghetto. We have quite a few pit bulls and a couple slingshots, so we're okay. We'll be all right.
Your background would suggest you live in the Taj Mahal, so you must be the richest guy in that ghetto.
You know that he's collecting furniture.
I am the richest guy in the world. Rich is subjective. I mean, I am filthy effing rich.
That was
Can't
me.
argue that. Can't
Wow.
argue that.
I'm
Aren't
next
you
door to
glad you live
Rogers Arena.
The Northwest, Jesse.
I'm next door to Rogers Arena in Vancouver in an Airbnb, and it turns out that's a pretty bad neighborhood apparently.
Oh.
Yeah. You know,
Where
bad.
that-
It's subjective, right? It depends on what you're used to, and I'm pretty much used to, having to defend yourself and with whether it be physically or verbally and at all costs. First and foremost, protect your tequila. After that, then it's the wife and the kids and stuff like that.
Do you
So that's the kind of neighborhood we're in.
Do you lock the tequila up at night?
Well, hell no, we don't. Listen, you can't drink jailed tequila. It's got to be free, loose. You can't do that. You can't lock up your best liquor. You got to be a free man, free liquor.
The life lessons I have learned on this show are just so invaluable. And I share every one of them with my family. Every one.
I'm glad.
My friends.
I'm glad. They probably
I'll
say,
start a blog.
they're going to say, let's hope Finn doesn't move in our neighborhood ever.
All right, so let's get back a little
Whose
bit
TV
here.
is coming through my headsets.
Yeah, who's got the it's not my neighborhood. We've fed the dogs. They're down for their afternoon siesta. But I keep hearing dogs. You hear dogs?
I just
No
hear like
dogs
a
over here.
I'm going to mute
television.
my mic just to see.
That tequila, that mezcal's starting to settle in. A little bit of, starting to hear stuff. It usually doesn't happen until after dinner. Sorry, guys.
So our chat room has been doing good, guys, the last week. And the majority of our viewers appear on Twitter Live, which is the AKA for Periscope, which was one of the greatest apps ever made.
Yeah.
I used to take it to my son's spring training games down in Florida, and I would beam it to all the grandparents back home that couldn't make the trip, and people like that, people who worked that couldn't get to the games. And it was a great tool, but now they changed the name, but it operates the same way. And I'm still trying to. I don't know anybody that knows why they did this. Periscope brand was incredible, but what do I know? Let's see. Ted Biscon is in the chat room. Let's see. Max on record, of course. Look at this news. Before you came on the show, Tony, I know you didn't want to come on the show because you knew I'd be talking about PGA because tomorrow's Thursday. But I liked Patrick.
Don't
Reed.
tell me Reed's out.
Reed apparently just withdrew.
I just told you not to tell me that.
But guys, didn't I say that he's been traveling a lot? You know, he had a sudden trip to Japan for the Olympics because DeChambeau got COVID-19. Mm-hmm. And these guys aren't.
You did say that.
They're not flying coach though. I mean, they are probably sleeping in luxurious conditions. Most of them. You know, some of these guys have their own jet.
I'm still trying to figure out why the golfer's been playing basketball. You know why?
Golfers playing basketball?
Yeah, he's traveling a lot.
Wow. I'm sorry, chat room, on that one. That was. We've hit a new low now.
Just ignore me. I'm preoccupied with my afternoon baseball and being tired. And let's talk baseball. Let's talk something. But golf, unless John Daly's involved, I'm really not interested in talking about it. But I'll listen.
All right. Here's a good question. This is a little bit off our usual topic, but this is a great question. So I had mentioned that I have a 5%er going tonight. Which one of you guys want to take this question on and explain how professional bettors bet?
Well, I think Jesus. I think the smart guy, either one of you three, should be doing that, not me. I don't know anything.
Anybody but me.
Let's start with Rob Veno, and then we'll embellish whatever he says.
I mean, I could explain it in about 15 seconds. It's the tiered system that WagerTalk uses when we release plays, which should equal or designate the amount of your bankroll that you put on each play. So at WagerTalk, we use 3%, 4%, and 5%. Obviously, the higher you go, the more the particular handicapper likes to play. If John has a 5%er tonight, which he does, he really likes this play. But again, if you're somebody that's betting with, $1,000 total, the 5% doesn't mean you bet 750 on this game. It means 5% of your entire bankroll goes on this game, 4% when he's got a 4%. It's always designated in our write-ups, or at least in our promos. You can tell how strong the play is. The percentage is always there. And it allows you to manage your money and stay in the game, which is what professionals have to do. We have to stay in the game and win over long term, and that's how you make money in this business. You know, if you take that 5%, which some guys will do, John was talking about buy long-term packages. But there are plenty of guys who see 5% and they fly in, or plenty of bettors that come in and take that 5% and they will bet, 5 times as much as they normally bet. And if it goes down, they're pretty sour. But nobody told you to bet 5 times more than you actually bet. You're supposed to just take it disciplined as a money management, bankroll management technique. That's how this company actually requires us as handicappers to release plays 3, 4, and 5%, so that it doesn't get carried away, guys. And I'm not one that uses a lot of 5%ers. I mean, in the NBA, I think I've had 8 in 3 years, and in Major League Baseball, I've had maybe 1 this entire season, and we're already into August. But this particular company said things don't get carried away, so that it's not I don't want to date myself back to the 80s, which of course I could, but they don't want it to become a huge sales pitch. We've got the play of the year, we've got the play of the year, we've got the play of the year. So for Max on Record, the largest amount of 5%ers that you will see in a month out of any handicapper at WagerTalk would be 8. That's where they cap us. So if you like them, they have to be strong. You can't just fling them out there to attract a lot of people, whether you like the play or not, which is what obviously the industry was known for about 35, 40 years. And still, when football season comes, you still see that going on. So again, long story short, it's just a percentage of bankroll that you're supposed to bet on the game, that the handicapper is recommending you bet on the game. John would be recommended tonight, if you purchase this play, 5% of your available bankroll on this particular contest. End of story. Hopefully,
I'll be putting $50 on it.
There you go.
Here's an easy two. I always say, if you follow the money management that we preach, you never ever have to reload, ever.
Right. That's the goal.
Yeah, never.
Aside
One time.
from, making money, but that is the
Right.
goal. Never to have to,
Right.
reload again.
I mean, I know guys, right? We know guys that reload by week 2 sometimes.
Absolutely. And you know what? Those guys blame it on us. So that's
Oh, well, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. We're here for listen, there's a lot of guys, and this is absolute truth that they've told me. We buy just so in case, if we lose, then we have someone to blame.
Well, you guys are all probably similar to me. I'll have maybe 2, possibly 3 5%ers a month, usually 2. But I can have, in baseball, I can have upwards of 70 plus 4% plays. So, which is better, to wait until one of us releases a 5% play, which is rare, or maybe get the whole kit and caboodle and start wagering like a professional does. I think amateurs too that are starting out, they put 1,000 in that, from, I hope not a credit card, but they put 1,000 into these online accounts and they go for it. So their bankroll is their vision is a week, and they'll pick a game or they'll listen to somebody, and most of the time, unfortunately, it doesn't work out, and then they have to reload right then, or they can't continue, and that's the part you want to avoid. Yeah, that's when it starts becoming an addiction instead of a hobby that's fun.
Yeah,
so anyway.
And again, anybody watching, we're not here to preach. I mean, a better individual bettor is going to do what they want to do. The whole point of the whole story is, if you want to stay in the game long enough and you want to absorb losing streaks and still have money to be there when the hot streak comes, then you want to manage your money. And this is the way that, WagerTalk chooses to suggest that you wager. It's the way plenty of us do. So, again, it's just a strategy to keep you betting long term, so that when the handicapper you're following ends up hitting, 55%, 56% for a season, you've made money. You're not knocked out of the box and weren't around for the good times. But again, guys are going to do what they want to do. We're not telling you what to do. We're just saying this is our recommendation each and every day. John's got a play he really likes tonight, so 5%. There you go. Hit it. John, let me get back real quick off this subject because Jesse was talking about the Boston-Tampa Bay race.
All right.
And just to add to the Boston-Tampa Bay race, I think in fairness to Boston, and I don't know that he's going to be a huge difference maker right out of the chute, but I think in fairness to Boston, Chris Sale and Kyle Schwarber are both on the way back. And if, in fact, Chris Sale does become a difference maker, which none of us have a clue as to whether he's going to be a difference maker right out of the chute or not. Obviously, reports are good. He's throwing well, but he hasn't been on the mound in a long, long time. But should he be an impact pitcher for the Red Sox, and Kyle Schwarber comes back and, picks up where he left off, and he's an impact bat inside Fenway Park from the left side, then things change for the Boston Red Sox for the better almost immediately. I was reading a couple of quotes from Alex Cora today about how Matt Barnes has had to really just wear one for the team as of late, because the bullpen has been called upon and called upon and called upon. And Matt Barnes' ERA has gone up significantly. A guy who I think just finished throwing 4 times in 5 days. Tampa Bay got a win off of him last night. It was a 4-4 tie. And, he comes in again. He wants to do the job, according to Cora, but they know he's just weary, fatigued in August at this point, being worn out. So if Sale can come and give some additional innings and help to that bullpen, it makes a difference. But, to Jesse's point, they're fighting other teams more than they're fighting Tampa Bay right now. When you're 5 games behind Tampa, but you're only hanging on to a wild card spot by 2 over the Yankees, who last check they were winning today. I had the monitor on. I don't know what they're doing now. And you're only 2.5 ahead of Toronto. Both of those are in your own division, and you're 1 behind Oakland. Those are the teams they're really fighting at this point in time. Catching Tampa Bay, I don't know if that's on their mind. I think just getting back and playing some winning baseball is first and foremost for the Boston Red Sox. They had an opportunity last night. They had the lead for the majority of that game. I think it was 4-2 heading into the 7th or something like that. Wind up blowing the game. So we'll see how it goes for Boston. But don't forget that Sale and Schwarber are right around the corner. I think Sale comes back as early as Friday or Saturday.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. Wow, that's huge.
What about
he might have 5 starts.
And they'll be short ones, Tone. He's going to be on a pitch count for a long time. It's not like he's going to run out there and throw 9.
I said it at the break on in my power charts. I have never had Boston too high. Although I just think they outpitched their skill set for a long time, and it's starting to catch up to them a little bit. That negative regression is catching up a little bit. Listen, I like Cora a bunch. I think he's a great manager. I think he's a good baseball man, and a lot of good years ahead of Boston with him. This team just doesn't have the pitching, in my opinion. So.
And that was the thought heading into the season, right? I'm thinking.
Sure, it was. Yeah, they're not. Listen, they didn't
be in this spot.
You're right. They weren't expected to. Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly have overachieved. And by the way, guys, Chris Sale is scheduled as the starter for Saturday at home against Baltimore. Jorge Lopez on the other side of that. So we're going to see. And if they can get 5 innings out of this guy that are quality innings, then they'll be thrilled to death. But I haven't seen a number yet, but I would imagine 65, 70 pitches would be the limit first time out.
Yeah, and for a guy as big as Sale is too, this is something that it takes more than I want. There's a lot of comparisons I won't say, but there's a release point when you set your foot and your arm. Everything has to be almost perfect, and it's hard to expect that from Sale. In game 1 after being out of baseball for 105 years, I mean, really, it's a lot to expect.
He's got some of the toughest mechanics to follow in the game.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
No way
yes, he
traditional.
does.
I've always said that about Clayton Kershaw, how Clayton Kershaw follows through with that particular motion every single pitch is unbelievable, how he never gets out of whack. But we'll see on Sale. He could be a help. Certainly Kyle Schwarber and that left-handed bat will be a help to that team. But they're fighting for that wild card spot, like Jesse said. They're fighting teams that are right on their heels.
Yeah. Listen, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. But I don't think. I mean, I think, like I said, I think the most fun we're going to have is going to be. Well, I really didn't think it was going to be. I didn't think Dodgers, San Francisco, but that the West in the senior circuit and the East in the senior circuit, those are the 2 races that are going to be fun. I think everything else, is pretty much what you see is what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's crazy too. Houston, we just automatically take Houston as the Western Division champ. They're 2 games ahead of Oakland. Now,
but they're playing.
I think they won today.
They did. They won. I got a nice one. I got the under in that, so I'm up. It's nice to have an afternoon winner, but they're playing like they playing like winners, and what I mean by that is they're resting players already. They're not playing like they're 2 games up. They're playing like they've already won it, and that's probably that has a lot to do with that experience they have, and and I've always said if they can get anything, if they can get plus skill, plus anything plus from that bullpen, they're the best team in the American League.
Yep, I agree. What did you guys hear on DeGrom now? Because all I keep hearing is he's still on flat ground.
Here's what.
Regardless if he's throwing 100 miles an hour.
What's the future on his Cy Young? What's the price on it?
Let's pull it up here.
You don't need to ask anybody anything. Just go look at that, and it'll tell you exactly what's going on with DeGrom.
All right, let's take a look here.
All right.
Player props. I guess that would be the place to start. No, it's for current.
Yeah, it's for game probably.
Not for like a player awards link. Player awards. Cy Young, National League. Zach Wheeler plus 175. Walker Buehler plus 300. Brandon Woodruff plus 525. Corbin Burns plus 650. Wow. Kevin Gossman plus 850. Max Scherzer plus 1500. Jacob DeGrom 20-1.
And he was just minus 150, wasn't he?
Yeah, about
3 weeks ago. Okay, so that tells you what's going on with DeGrom. It tells you what's going on with the Mets. The Mets are done.
So I think like the normal course of recovery is you throw him flat ground, and until we hear that he's thrown off a mound,
Yeah.
there's no timetable for him coming back.
Well, they're going to lower the mound.
Before September.
They're going to lower the mound this for the postseason because of DeGrom, because he's threatened to change his name to Bob DeGrom or something like that.
Where was that going? I don't understand.
You don't?
Bob DeGrom?
Yeah, maybe it was going to be Gibson DeGrom. It's a guy with 2 last names.
He was heading in that direction, that 1.12 ERA. He was.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Right?
Yeah.
But
So
the projections are first week in September. We'll see. But first week in September, he can't possibly win a Cy Young. You've missed 7 weeks.
No, he can't. He can't. Listen, we talked about this. I like Bueller. Remember, I was trying to talk you guys all into putting a little bit of money on it, and I still like Bueller more than I like Wheeler. I can tell you 100 reasons why, but it's easy. That's an easy vote if I had a vote. You know, if it was just those two. Yeah, I like Wheeler. Like what he's done.
Recency bias. You know, we were 9 innings against the Mets, 2-hitter, and Bueller didn't match it. But Bueller has that offense behind him.
Who does?
Bueller.
Yes.
He's a much better offense than.
You don't have to have offense to win that Cy Young. If you need evidence of such, look at DeGrom's record.
9-10.
9-10. And that's because they couldn't score. It's because they got a virus. Every time he takes the mound, it's like they get a virus. So can't see the ball, can't hit the ball, can't be the ball.
No, you always got to be the ball.
I know you do. Always have to be the ball. If you don't believe me, ask Chevy.
So Nick here has a very good question. He's going to be surprised by the answer. So if you have a guess, whether you agree with him or not. So this season, I can run it for this season, last 5. So how many unders have hit when the game has gone in extra innings? And Cub establishes the line at 10%. So
it's a little higher than that. It's a little higher than that, but it's the same thing. Now, extra innings in baseball is the equivalent to extra 5 minutes in basketball. You're done. Pretty much you're done.
Jesse, what do you think?
I was going to say the equivalent to overtime in college football. But
oh, you're really done.
I haven't played a lot of unders this year for a variety of reasons, with rule changes and it just extra innings and the sticky substances and all this stuff. I used to be a big under player. I'd play a lot of unders, and I just haven't been doing it lately. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty low. It's that doesn't sound out of line to me what he said there. But by the sounds of it, you're going to surprise us.
I don't think it's that low. I don't think it's that low. I would say more in the 25% range, but I could be wrong.
Rob Veno, what do you think? Over or under 10%?
Honestly, I don't know. I know that this morning, for those interested, if you go to Twitter, Ralph Michaels had an interesting statistic on this, maybe not this exact question, but something really, really close. I mean, obviously, since that Yankee-Royal game the other night, there's been a zillion statistics that have come out about unders turning into overs, whatever. But Ralph had an interesting number that I can't remember now. I'd have to go back and read it. But I don't think it was this particular question. Guys, how many unders have hit in extras this season? 10%. I mean, who the heck knows where they even – I mean, that game the other night started – well, when did it start? It was 3
6 innings. 6 innings. Or 7th inning. 7th, 8th, and 9th.
They scored.
One run.
Yeah, but when it hit extras, they already had 6 runs. It's 3-3.
That's right. Yes.
So,
right.
I mean, it's not that hard to get over from there. It's not like it was 0-0 after 9. I'm going to say with Tony that I don't think it's lower than 10%. I would say No, God, John, skip me. I have no clue. I have
Okay,
no clue.
that's
I
fair.
would just recommend go for those watching, go check out what Ralph had on Twitter too. Ralph Michaels, Cal Sports, because what he had was pretty interesting too.
I'll look him up as soon as I reveal the answer, and it's rather shocking. The under in extra inning games this year is 60, 87, and 5. So that turns into 41% winners.
I thought I was wrong. I'm wrong.
60.
I'm way wrong.
And I would have been wrong too, Tony. I would have never guessed this.
No.
So
Not because I tell you what, I'm 14. No, I'm 15-4 in extra innings.
the
15 losses.
Yeah, see, real quick, guys, Ralph's numbers were different than what John just had. What Nick asked is different than what Ralph had. Ralph has, and I'm reading it here from Twitter this morning, there have been 923 Major League Baseball games since 2004 that had a 0-0 score after 6 innings. Only 27 of those 923 have gone over. That's 3%.
Well, that's yeah. And we've all been on the wrong side of that beat once or twice. I had the over in that game, and I tell you when it got to when it went
the contrarian side of me.
exactly. Yeah. Well, no. Well, I already had that when you told that. I already had it loaded.
Yeah, but when you told that, I already had mine loaded.
Right. Exactly.
Abbott and Costello, we'll go back and forth here.
But those are the games where I looked at it when it was 0-0. I looked at the innings, and I said, well, I suck. That's what I said exactly. I suck. And I went about my business. And next thing I looked at it was 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth. And I said, if this Kansas City team scores here, it's going over.
You're a winner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, if they score 1, and it goes into the 10th, obviously. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, according to what John just gave us for factual numbers, those are different than what your eyes because in my mind,
for sure,
the visitor always seems to get like 2 right away. Never mind 1 run, they score like 2 right away, and then you have to chase from there.
I've been on the 0, the 10th inning where the visitors getting 0 quite a few times this year. So, but then we always remember, guys. We always remember those. It's so much easier unless you're a masochist. The pain always stays with you. Jubilation comes and goes quickly. It's those beats it's those games that you had won, and they didn't win. I don't dwell on very long. I let them go because there've been plenty of games I've won that I shouldn't have. So there's no reason to waste that energy, that time and energy on them.
So is Seattle finished?
Yeah.
Lose to Texas last night. They're sinking.
Yeah, they lost to Texas in Texas right after the break. That when they lost 2 or 3 down there, that did them in. I thought, in my opinion, that's a team you have to win if you're going to be a playoff team and you're chasing.
Yep.
I think the trade deadline did them in.
Well, they
didn't. They had a chance to pick somebody up, and what did they get? Tyler Anderson.
They got Tyler. They got Tyler.
Woo!
He's throwing tonight.
I'd rather have one Tyler. I'd rather have one Tyler than have 3 John Lesters and 5 Haps.
And didn't J.A. Happ do the job last night, Tom?
Well, you know the story about the blind squirrel.
That's right. By the way, where that
what's it?
The sun shines on a dog's ass once a day.
Exactly. The clock wrong twice a day. Yeah, I like those things. I like them a lot. Yeah.
And there's East Coast. They say the blind acorn finds the squirrel.
Yeah, well, you guys out there on the East Coast, you guys are crazy.
And your hatred for the St. Louis Cardinals. Tony,
I don't hate anybody. No, that's a bad word. It's a bad word.
Your dislike, disdain, whatever.
Hate takes so much energy. It takes so much energy to hate, and I'm already exhausted. I just think they're the most overrated team in baseball this year.
They may be, and we'll see, but they may be
I
able
always-
to get a little something back. You may be able to play them down the stretch here in certain instances. Jack Flaherty is back on Saturday, as well as Chris Sale. So a lot of these pitchers are coming back. Flaherty probably again. Flaherty, I think, what was that? What was his injury? Geez, it took a long time to heal. It wasn't.
Ego.
No, it wasn't ego. Jeez. I got to look it up here real quick. But Jack Flaherty will be back for St. Louis, which lengthens that rotation.
That's the pitching staff. Listen, for the last 3 years, Rob, I have said that when Miko came over from Cave, that year that he had was as big as smoke. I said, all you had to do is look at the peripherals. It was completely smoke and mirrors. It was a con job. It was
He's nowhere to be found anymore.
No, exactly. Well, he's injured. He's had injuries since then. But when Flaherty's your ace, I'm just telling you right now, when Flaherty's your ace, you should not. I don't think you should have almost 90 wins on your team season, especially in a division like that you knew was going to just beat up on each other. They're just going to beat up on each other all year long. So
his was an oblique. He's going to throw against the Royals on Friday in the series opener.
Yeah.
And we'll see how good he is.
I drilled down a bit further, guys.
What's that?
I drilled down further.
You drilled?
Yes, into the database.
Okay.
Because that's how I think. I go, well, what if this now? Extra inning games where the total after 9 innings by the two teams combined was 2 or more runs less than the posted total. So total's 10, ninth inning ends 4-4. Oh, no, well, that couldn't be.
Why?
It's 2 or more. It would have to be, that's right, 10, and then, 4-4 would be 8.
That's how you think.
Yeah, well, see, I mean, what if the total's 9.5 and I'm telling the database 2, you can't score half a run.
Right, you're right.
It'd be 3-3 or 4-4.
I've had to explain a half run many times, but you're right, John. You can't score half a run.
It's greater than or equal to -2 is a whole number. So the under now in those games where they're short by 2 going into extras is 56, 22, and 3, 72% this season. That's a 36% ROI, and I'm trying to figure out how you would bet that in game, because if it's too lower, would you get a price equal to the pre-flop total?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I want to apologize once again because I am now I've been pinged to go do another. I'm really excited about all these little quick hitter previews we're doing for college football. I'm really excited about it, but they seem to, they say it's a quick hitter, John. And Rob, you guys all know. They say it's going to be a quick hitter, it'll be in and out. And those 10-minute videos take longer than the 2-hour videos.
JoJo.
I know what you mean. And the only way I can do a 5-minute or a 2-minute is if I record myself.
Yeah. And even then I got to do like 20 takes. So add those up,
Well,
I'm going to give you a quick play for tonight.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do our final show best bets right now. We'll start with Mr. Finn.
I'm gonna wander off the. I'm gonna take the low road, and I'm gonna travel to Las Vegas, and I'm going to suggest the finale on the card tonight is a New York Knicks team that's fairly dynamic, has a lot of good young players, and they're playing the Lakers, who really don't have any young players and are really more interested in giving each player equal time on the court. I really like the Knicks -5 tonight.
Oh, I love it. Knicks -5. And by the way, guys, the last 9 shows we've done since I've been keeping track of our best bets, 23-10 for 70%. And some of those were making baseball dogs, like Minnesota last night.
Better fade us.
So the units would take a while to calculate, but 70% and then an ROI that's better than 23-10.
Better than that damn crypto.
Yeah.
Sayonara,
that's
gentlemen.
stuff, man.
may all your to your mother, your brother, and all your bad habits. Good to be with you. Good to talk to you. Good to see you. Hope to see you again tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow is
Thursday.
Okay.
Guess who's joining us tomorrow?
Let me guess. Everybody. D'Amico.
No. Marco D'Angelo.
Joe Raniero.
I never heard of him. I've heard of Ranieri.
Either.
But Marco D'Angelo is going to be joining us.
Well, good. Marco's he's good luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You can play horseshoes with a stake and a toilet seat. Marco will help you win. I gotta go. Hey, you guys are the best.
Have a good show.
Get him, Tone.
All right.
Go educate him,
I'm going to talk ACC.
Yeah, go educate him.
All right, buddies. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Take care.
You got it, man.
Okay, I can't find my.
Over to
Cut me off.
Is he leaving or is he muting him?
I'm trying to find the window. I'm trying to find the stage left. You know that? What was that cartoon? Exit stage left.
Yeah.
Are the dogs still barking?
That's it. I can't find the stage.
It's in the upper.
You can't get the hell out of here.
I can remove you if you want.
Oh,
I'll remove you.
Please, because I just
I'll
don't know
remove
why.
you politely, not by security.
Get the
Have a good night, Tony.
There you go. Oh my goodness.
He's still backstage. You can hear us, and I can see him.
That was
but
priceless.
we'll have to figure out why he couldn't get out of there. But anyway, let's have Jesse do a recap of his free pick, and then Rob Veno. And it's probably not safe for me to go last. We'll go Jesse, me, Rob Veno, that batting order. And Jesse, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, I already gave up a free pick on the total bases matchup with Vladdy and Ohtani, plus money on Vladdy, based on Toronto having a perceived pitching advantage, and they're the big favorite. But in addition to that, I'm going to add a 5-inning total for the Phillies Dodgers. I don't like the looks of David Rice lately, and Kyle Gibson. And what you guys were saying about the weather, I see a line of 4.5 at Bet365. So I'd recommend to play on over 4.5 at Bet365 for the first one.
Over 4.5 Dodgers, Phillies. I like that quite a bit too, because one of these times Gibson's going to have a little thing called regression, I'm afraid. But not afraid, it just happens. It's not a bad thing. You can still win a game and have a regressive start. So my turn. My free bet is right over here. And I didn't do an MLB angle of the day today. I had a few things going on. And all right. I'm going to give two, and I'll do the second one real quick. So my free pick here is the under in the Texas-Seattle game. And this would be a 3%er under the total. Texas-Seattle. And I have it over at sportsmemo.com, so you can go over and read the research yourself. But Texas is not hitting the ball at all. They're scoring 2.1 runs per game, batting just 173. And Seattle's offense isn't exactly a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination, but their bullpen has posted a 2.02 ERA and a 0.985 whip over the last 7 games. And from my predictive model, Seattle's Tyler Anderson will complete 6 or more innings. Texas is 6-1 under this season in games in which their offense posted 0 multiple run innings, and the opposing left-handed starter completed 6 or more innings in games played this season. So it's reasonable to see the models predicting that Texas will not have any crooked numbers on the scoreboard, and that's what a multiple run inning is. And they're facing a left-handed starter, and he's expected to go 6 or more innings. That's a 6-1 just this season alone. So I like the under in the Texas-Seattle game. It's the free pick. And now we turn it over to our anchor, Rob Veno, for his final thoughts in free pick.
Alrighty, so we already talked about this game, but I'm going to talk about it again. The Boston-Tampa Bay matchup in Fenway Park tonight. Gonna use Boston first 5 innings, minus a half a run, minus 105, pretty cheap price, minus a nickel. Nate Eovaldi, the starting pitcher for Boston, been raked the last couple of times out. Both were road games, road starts at Tampa, road start at Toronto. Hit hard both times. Looking for a bounce back out of him tonight. Prior to that, his previous 3 starts inside Fenway Park all consisted of 7 innings or more. Combine them, it adds up to 22 and a third. Only 19 base runners allowed in those 22 and a third. That's a 0.85 whip. And only 3 total runs allowed in those 22 and a third at home, 1.21 ERA. Better yet, he had 20 strikeouts in those 3 games with no walks. Eovaldi continues to be a really good strikeout to walk ratio type pitcher. He's pitched home here in Fenway 1 time this season against Tampa Bay. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. Because we're playing a 5-inning here, it's important to go over these 5-inning scores. In that game, Boston, the offense really helped out. He was winning 9-1 after 5. That was against Ryan Yarbrough, left-hander for Tampa. Somewhat significant because they're facing a left-hander tonight in Josh Fleming. And you just don't, as an away team, when you can avoid it, you try not to march left-handers into Fenway Park, Green Monster and all. It's really been tough on lefties for a number of years, since I can remember, dating back to the 70s. 5-inning results for Nate Eovaldi inside Fenway Park this season. His last 7 games there, the Red Sox are 6-0 on the 5-inning line with 1 push in their last 7. He's had 13 overall starts in Fenway Park this year. 9 of those 13, he's given up 1 run or less in the first 5 innings. So he's been really good for the Red Sox here this season, at home especially. If I look at their offense, the Red Sox are number 6 in Major League Baseball in home OPS. They hit better in Fenway than they do on the road. That's understandable. Switch it over and look at Josh Fleming real quick here, the opposing pitcher. His home-road dichotomy is a mess. He looks like he's a product of that field in Seattle, which is a pitcher's haven and does not cater to hitters. But Josh Fleming at home this year has an opponent's batting average against of 190, which is excellent, to say the least. But when he gets on the road, that goes from 190 to 305. His 513 home OPS, which again is excellent, goes from 513 to 863. It goes up 350 points on the road. Not good for Josh Fleming on the road. The Red Sox against him, anybody who can grab a bat tonight, if we add up their entire roster combined, they're hitting .429 against this guy with a .500 on-base percentage and an 1179 OPS. I think there's enough reasons there, starting pitching-wise, offense-wise, to go ahead and play Red Sox first 5 innings here, minus a half. They were winning last night after 5. They wind up blowing it late. I don't want to trust the bullpen. Like I said earlier, it's been taxed. But we'll try first 5 here, cheap price, minus a half a run. Got to win by 1. But Eovaldi's been able to do that pretty much, or at least in a majority of his starts this season. First 5, he's been good, and you're only laying a nickel here. So Red Sox first 5, minus half a run, minus 105.
And my last thought here is Miami is beating San Diego 6-0 on the road, and that is noteworthy to me because I would say he's kind of our boy on this show, Alcantara. We've talked a lot about Sandy Alcantara, and he got hammered to 10 earned runs in his last start, and he has a history of bouncing back from hard starts. The most recent one, he gave up 8 to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then his next start, they won, and he went 6 innings plus, allowed 2 hits, no earned runs to the Phillies. And it looks like he's doing the same thing again here with Miami upsetting San Diego so far. One question, Rob. Mm-hmm. I see San Diego plus 15-1 right now, 1,500 to win the game. They're in the 5th inning. It's 6-0. Is it worth pizza money?
Well,
if it was Houston, I would say yes.
I mean, if it's me, I'm going to say no, only because San Diego used a bullpen game last night where they used, I think, 5 different relievers. So
Great
you're
point.
Counting on them again. Obviously, Weathers, I think, by the looks of 6-0, he's been knocked out of the game already. Alcantara's capable of 7. Don't know what his pitch count is at this point in time, but if it's low enough, you may see him for 2 more innings here. So it'd be difficult for me to play San Diego to make this large of a comeback. I'll say this. Sandy Alcantara, as you mentioned, has been a guy I've backed a ton in one way or another this year. And today, I actually had this game first 5 innings under 4.5, thinking that he would do what he's doing. But I didn't expect the Miami offense to get 6 in 5 innings off of a lefty. They're just not that good against left-handed pitching. But they did, and I guess that's why they call it gambling, because the unexpected happened.
I just want to double-check that I was telling you that it's 6-0 right now in the 5th. So that, I didn't mean to bring you bad news.
No. I have it on a monitor next to me, and I mean they scored 3 in the first like they did last night, and then they got a couple more in the 4th. I think it was 5-0. So they had covered it by themselves. You just don't expect them, especially without Jazz Chisholm, their leadoff hitter. He's out of the lineup. So, but they did. You know, if you bet enough of these games, John, the unexpected happens. We've seen it all. And for me, 4-0. I could have understood. 6-0.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking.
A little too high. So that's all right. We'll come back and get them. We actually, this afternoon winds up being a split because Houston first 5 innings was a 2-1 winner behind Framber Valdez. So we get a split in the afternoon action. Look forward to the nighttime.
Awesome stuff. And as always, thanks for your time, Rob. And do you have anything big going over at WagerTalk tonight?
No, but I do have 3 Major League Baseball plays up and available at WagerTalk. One is a 4% best bet, so you can go over there now and get it. You can actually be on the lookout for NFL preseason, which I think I'm going to put up tonight, at least the start of the weekend. You know, this weekend runs from Thursday to Sunday in preseason, but our first couple of plays will go up here tonight. And from there, for those who do watch all the videos, Sports Memo, WagerTalk videos, give a look out for the Pac-12 preview that Drew Martin and I did yesterday. You can find that over at WagerTalk TV. And tomorrow we'll be back here again at 4 o'clock doing a little more of this. Oh, there's also a First 5 video. It's something new they started at WagerTalk, First 5, where you come on and you give a first 5 inning play. Those are up and available for today as well. I was on there. So all of that stuff at WagerTalkTV.com. And I'm going to stretch this out just a half a second longer, John, just to tell the people out there, if you are not a member of WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com yet, no reason not to be. It doesn't cost a penny to get access to all these informational videos that we do. Tony just told you right now he's going off to do an ACC preview. You can get it for free. You just go to WagerTalk.com, throw your email address in there, and you watch everything. I mean, we're doing 5-6 videos a day with football and baseball combined now, and that'll only grow as we get closer to football season. So you can get a lot of good advice from a lot of people. I think Teddy said it best when I was on WagerTalk the other day, and he had some evidence to back it up. But it's not always what we're releasing here as free best bets that you want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to everything that we're saying because it can lead you to good bets. And I forget who they had on as guests on WagerTalk today on Monday, but Teddy actually pointed to it. He said, listen, whoever the guest was didn't give you this as a best bet, but he basically led you right to the water. So the information is there. We're only trying to give you everything we know. Obviously, everybody out there doesn't have the time to study it the way we do, the time to research it the way we do. So go ahead. I mean, you're just hurting yourself by not getting a free membership into WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com. Pick up on all these videos, especially with football right here on the doorstep right now.
Great stuff, Rob. And Gold Sheet, too, with Ralph Michaels and all the great work he's done. There's written content right there that I use. You know, it's another resource that is tremendous, and it's free. That's the point. It's free. And we wouldn't be doing these shows if we had been losing money betting over the last 27, 30 years. You know, we have the confidence to share our knowledge and know that it's, you know, the goal is to help people become better bettors. And it's great stuff. Well, anyway, thanks again for your time, Rob. And on behalf of Jesse Schul, who was on earlier, Tony Finn, of course, myself, and WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com, and these Predictive Playbook shows, may all the wins be yours.